Hey guys, Master Mark Kanar here today, and I'm going to put a short video together about mindset and how mindset helps people become great competitors, and also the mindset that you need to have is taught in a martial art classroom, if you have a good instructor, that is. So a few weeks ago, I had several of my friends contact me, and we decided that we're going to put videos together of techniques to help out the athletes in Michigan do better in competition. And I sat down and thought about all these little strategies and how I have certain strengths that other athletes might not have. And then I really started thinking about it, and I said, you know what? Probably how I think as an athlete is very different than a lot of people, especially if they're beginners. And I kind of just want to talk to you about what's going on in your martial art classroom to help you become more successful, just not in competition, but also in life. Now, the first thing that you're taught in a martial art classroom is discipline. If you have a good instructor, he's going to teach you or she's going to teach you about discipline. Coming in, making sure your uniform's nice and neat, standing at attention, looking straight ahead. All of these things are important. And if you mess up, you usually get punished with push-ups or running laps or something like that. Now, when I was a kid, my dad and mom used to punish me if I misbehave, is what they called it. So discipline wasn't something that I looked at as a positive thing. It was something that I looked at as a negative thing. And every time my dad, he was old school, used to whoop my tail if I was bad, and my mom would make me sit in a corner, and she had this hourglass, and she'd make me stare at it, and when the hourglass sand ran out on the top, I was able to leave. And every time they punished me, they pulled me aside and explained to me that they were doing it because they loved me. And I was like, wow, this is a weird way to show me that you love me, that you punish me. But as I got older, I realized that discipline was about self-love, how much you really care about yourself. And if you're an athlete or you're a martial artist or you're trying to be successful in life, you have to have a high degree of self-love, meaning you have to have a high degree of discipline. And my dad basically, instead of telling me that he loved me, probably should have explained to me, hey, you're not being the best version of yourself, and we know that you can do better, and we're disciplining you because we care about you, because we want you to be the best version of yourself. That would have been probably a better way to explain it. Would I understand it as a kid? Maybe not. But as I'm older, I do understand that. It's very, very important. In fact, if you read any religious text like the Torah or the Bible or the Quran, there's a word in it. It's called sin. And the word sin is actually Latin. It means missing your mark in archery. And if you look at sin like that, you realize that our entire existence as a human being is to try to become the best version of yourself if you believe in God. And that's the way that I kind of go around in my life, not judging other people, but try to judge myself to try to become that best version. The other thing that you're taught in martial arts is respect. And I remember one time I was at a competition and Master Hassan was talking, and he said something that I clearly feel that respect is. He said, respect is making others feel important. And I remember him telling me that, and I remember that being like, man, that's a really good way of looking at respect, okay? You make other people feel important, they're going to help you out in the long run, trust me. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you know somebody and you did something bad to them, they're probably going to try to knock you off your high horse, so to speak. But if you're always helping out other people and you make them feel valuable, they're going to probably want to do the same for you. Is that necessarily true for everybody? Absolutely not. But most people will try to help you out. So if you have a degree of self-discipline, or what I call self-love, and you make other people feel important, which we call respect, another thing starts to occur. People view you differently. It's called confidence. They start to think you're confident in yourself. Even though that might not be the case, they know that they're attracted to you because they see that you appear that you believe in yourself. Someone who really shows a lot of care for themselves, their appearance will look good, their attitude will look good, they'll have a lot of discipline on how they eat, what they talk, what they say. There's a lot of different areas of discipline. But they ultimately look at you and realize that you appear to be a very confident person. And once people start to tell you that and people start to make you feel that spiritually, something else happens. What is called is self-esteem. Self-esteem is like confidence, but it's not confidence. What self-esteem is what we call self-confidence. It's how you view yourself. Confidence is how other people view you. Self-esteem or self-confidence is how you view yourself. And it's very important. You have to have a very high self-esteem in order to get out there in that ring and compete. Or you have to have a very high self-esteem to go out there and do your forms or pumse or hong or katas or whatever you call it. You have to have a high self-esteem if you're going to go and compete and do breaking. You have to have a high self-esteem if you're going to get up there and test for your black belt. And you know what? Anytime I doubted myself or I felt like my self-esteem was low, I could always go back and look at my self-discipline and ask myself the question, is my self-discipline good enough to have high self-esteem to accomplish the goal at hand? And if I didn't accomplish the goal, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is, did I learn? And the other thing is that I can't look at every little tournament and get upset if I lose. The better question is, who am I becoming? I remember when I was younger, I was going to college to be an educator, and I had to do a class where I got to go in there and teach for several weeks, but I didn't get paid for it. And some of my friends were like, man, they're just using you. You know, how do you feel about that? And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter about my pay. What matters is who I'm going to become. And who I'm going to become is someone with a higher degree of self-esteem if I finish that class. Even though I got no monetary value for it, it was still worth my time because I knew I was going to become a better version of myself. Okay? Now, as a martial artist, what's the next level past self-esteem? I would say becoming a performer. Someone with high self-esteem has an easier time performing, especially at competitions or at a higher level test. You have to understand that. You have to go through the roadblocks, so to speak, of each one, understand what each one means to help you to become a great performer. And once you start performing, it's not about you trying to beat other people. It's trying to ask yourself the question, did I beat myself every single time I went out there? Did I do a better job than I did the time before? It's very important that you cast judgment on yourself first, because it shows that you have discipline, and your discipline is on yourself. You're not casting judgment on other people. And then after your performance becomes great, because you keep doing it over and over and over, something special happens. You become authentic. You change. You become the version of yourself that you always dreamed about, because you manifested in your mind who you wanted to become by taking the risks and going for the challenges that were in front of you to mold that self-esteem into something that's rock hard, something that a performer does over and over and over again. And when their self-esteem is super high, they become authentic. They don't care what other people think about them. They're out there for their own purpose, their own uniqueness. And that's how to become a great martial art competitor, but it's also how to become successful at life. And it's very important that you understand the steps you have to go through to accomplish that in life. Remember, discipline and respect, something both taught in martial arts. Developing confidence, developing a high self-esteem. That leads to you becoming a performer, and that leads to you becoming authentic. And one of the things that you know about authentic people, they are the ones that become champions. They are the ones that become legends. And that's what you have to do in life in order to reach the highest goal that you possibly can. It's your journey, nobody else. No one will ever understand what you're doing when you're training for the martial art competition except the other athletes around you. But just remember what I told you about mindset and how to think and rationalize a game plan to become authentic, to become that champion that you want to become. It was good talking to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the talk. I'll be putting some techniques up soon, and I'll talk to you later.